There will be spoilers for Rime of the Frostmaiden in this video. So if you are a player or planning to play in this campaign, this is the time where you should say goodbye. We pick up right where we left off last time, in the Temple of Tempus in Goodmead, as the party is falling asleep. Though we desperately need a long rest, unfortunately we do not get one, because in the middle of the night we are awakened by what seems to be some kind of crashing and some hullabaloo in the Mead Hall, which is right across the street corner from the temple where we are sleeping. We wake up to see 7 or 8 hooded figures running away from the Mead Hall, and coming out of the Mead Hall is the voice of Shandar Froth, who is yelling something like, "Yeah, get out of our Mead Hall, you stupid rascals," and things like that, as if he's chasing off some potential mead thieves. Obviously, it was very easy to see through his deceit, and we ended up running after the people who were running away from the Mead Hall. The ensuing initiative was very confusing because a bunch of people ran in a bunch of different directions. We were not sure what to do. How it generally ended, though, was with Val throwing a lasso at one of the trailing gang members and restraining him. It was a very cowboy western moment where at high noon on the main dirt road, people are shooting. Well, it's more like at high midnight on the main dirt road, people are getting lassoed. But anyway, somebody got lassoed. We got a few prisoners who seemed to surrender as more and more people were awake from the ruckus that we were causing. And more townspeople came gathering around. We started interrogating the prisoners. It didn't take very long to confirm our suspicions. It was said that these people were sent by a different townspeople from a different town in order to help Shandar Froth stage a scene like the mead was about to be robbed and he saved the mead and by extension saved the reputation of Goodmead to other towns. The prisoners, once broken, admitted freely that Shandar Froth is the one who generally hired them to do his bidding. At this point, obviously, Shandar Froth's reputation with the town of Goodmead is completely ruined. However, he still is in the running to be the townspeaker the next morning. This was where Val, once again, made an impassioned speech to the townsfolk and suggested that instead of banishing Shandar Froth and also these other prisoners that we have, how about we give them jobs? How about we make them responsible for rejuvenating the knucklehead trout fishing along the river next to Goodmead? So now our town has a bunch of people who are used to be goons and thugs, and now they're just fishermen. Or so we think. We shall see. That was the plan. Val is not the most intelligent nor the most charismatic, so he sort of doesn't understand a lot of nuances. The next morning was the election for townspeaker. That was a very merry event as Val won with the majority of votes, and then we drank a lot of mead. We had fun. Also, side note, there were other people at the mead hall. Those who do not belong to the town of Goodmead. They seem to be wearing dark blue robes and general attire of worshippers of Auril, the Frostmaiden. Some of the party members, mainly Raven and Vastinai Savras, decided to go up and talk to them. They found out that one of them was a woman in a very advanced stage of pregnancy, expecting any minute. But she's trying her best not to give birth until the Midwinter Festival, because it is believed that babies who were born on the day of Midwinter are touched by the Frostmaiden. They have piercing blue eyes and some other attributes that allow them to be very powerful and blessed by Auril. Obviously, being worshippers of Auril, they want their baby to be born on the day of Midwinter. There was some excellent roleplay done by my friend Melissa, who plays Raven, and my friend Julie, who plays Vas. They did some brilliant role-playing and awesome convincing of these people, of these very religious fanatics. And I think they might have managed to convince them let's just say they have convinced them to take the spirit of the law and not the letter of the law. However, that gave us some very important information about the Frost Touched, or whatever they're called. I forget what the name is. With the election being done and Val as the new town speaker, the party put Olivesa Unampur in charge of Goodmead and started for Caer Dineval. We were carrying one of the casks of mead because there was a delivery due to Caer Dineval anyway, and we were thinking that by delivering this mead and talking to the town speaker, we could potentially form a good relationship with that town, which Val takes very seriously because he thinks now that he's the town speaker, it is his duty to represent Goodmead to the rest of the 10 towns. There were also other reasons. Apart from delivering the mead, we had rumors that the town speaker of Caer Dineval was sick, no one has seen him for a while, and there are sinister figures who visit him at his keep in the middle of the night. Which, by the way, is redundant because all the figures that visit town speakers in the middle of the night are sinister. Also, if you remember from some of our previous investigations in Bryn Shander, we heard about a serial killer who might have been lurking the 10 towns and killing random people with basically icicles that he can form from his hands. And certain evidence pointed that that must be Sefik, the one who gave Raven an icy rose that melted as soon as she touched it. The last we knew, Sefik was also in Caer Dineval, so we started following on that trail. The journey was mostly uneventful, apart from the fact that we passed another caravan with a very young girl in it who was not dressed suitably at all for this kind of horrendous Arctic tundra type of weather. But she had piercing blue eyes, which means that she is one of the frost touched. She doesn't feel cold. At this point, our party druid Agric turns around towards a raven and tries to look at her eyes, and she turns around and away from him. It turns out she does have blue eyes. However, at this point, Val speaks up and reminds them that just because somebody has blue eyes does not mean that they're frost-touched. All frost-touched have blue eyes, but all blue eyes are not from frost-touched. Also, Val himself has blue eyes. I don't know if people believed Val or not, but that's sort of where the argument was left at. We rolled into Caer Dineval, which is a slightly bigger town than Goodmead. It actually has a keep. But we took the mead to the tavern, and Raven went in with her excellent charisma. Oh, by the way, Val has appointed Raven as the speaker of the town speaker of Goodmead. So she's the one who is taking the forefront in all of these dealings. So she returns the mead to general cheers and stuff. She also talks to some of the folk at the tavern and finds out that Sefik was indeed in Caer Dineval, and the last they knew, he was seen around the abandoned old inn, which we have seen when we were on our way into town. It was right at the edge of town. At this point, we all decided to go figure out what is going on, maybe see if Sefik is hiding there and take care of him. We get to the abandoned house. Don Kiro decides that it'll be best if he stays outside and at long range with his very excellent marksmanship. Agric turns into a very quiet cat and lurks into the abandoned inn, closely followed by Raven, who is not at all quiet. They manage to roll pretty high stealth, and they're looking around, and the whole place seems to be empty, until it wasn't. Raven runs straight into a hiding Sefik, who stands up and starts being extremely creepy and starts talking about the Frostmaiden's blessing and how she should embrace it and blah blah blah, at which point we decided to attack him. And at that point, our DM told us to roll for initiative. While we, that is Vass, Val, Raven, and Agric, are inside the house, Don Kiro has picked up on some humanoid footprints. He follows them, and they seem to be going around the house, and at some point it just stops, and there's no one there. But as we walk down the initiative order, it turns out there was someone who was invisible, standing right there, which I don't know how Ryan missed. Ryan is the one who plays Don Kiro, by the way, and takes a swing at him. Initiative is rolled, battle is in full swing. there are multiple Duergars inside that abandoned inn, and there's Sephic casting strange spells and hitting us with icicles. The last we left, we haven't finished the battle. The situation is fairly dire for our party. Our tank, the paladin, Raven, has gone unconscious. Our 2 clerics, Val and Vass, have managed to bane 4 of the 6 Duergars. Don Kiro is 1v1ing outside the hut with 1 Duergar and doing really, really badly because he keeps having terrible rolls and missing his short sword attacks while the Duergar is going to town on him. Agric has turned into a giant direwolf and is going 1v1 with an enlarged Duergar, which I do not know how he's going, but as far as I remember, he should be doing pretty well health-wise. But the worry is, now me, the cleric, Val, has 1 first-level spell slot left, which I guess I'm going to use for Healing Ward on Raven. But what happens after that? She's not going to get that many hit points back, and we have all the enemies still active on the field. We are surrounded in a tiny place. The one person who's not in that place is going 1v1 against a Duergar, and our main enemy, whom we think if we could take them out, might end the battle, is out of reach of anyone. And every one of us has a Duergar within reach. I have 2 of them. So we are very panicky. We are really, really panicking. And I think this might be the first time ever that in our campaign we have a permadeath. I have a feeling we're going to lose 1 character. We shall see. Stay tuned.